Hi, everybody. Happy Easter Monday. I felt really called to do this live from my garden because I'm hoping that you guys can hear the sound of the happy birds in the background. So today, I want to talk about what Soul Series is, who's it for, and who's it not for. So if you have been swirling around in my field for the last couple of weeks, you know that I've been talking a lot about Soul Series, and this is our final week to register. So I wanted to do a bit of a deep dive into what Soul Series is and what to expect in this experience. So, we're getting some wind. I love the feeling of wind. Okay, so Soul Series is a 6-week group immersion in which I am going to be guiding you back to yourself. So what that means is those of us that have been on our spiritual seeking path for a hot minute, who have thoroughly navigated all of the different playgrounds of the spiritual community that the spiritual community has to offer. You know, we got our quantum leaping, we got our galactics, we got our goddesses, we got the divine feminine, divine masculine. We have all of these incredible teachings that are offered to us so that we can dive in and do our own healing and do our own work so that we can uncover more of who we truly are beneath all of the conditioning and the stories and programs that are surrounding us and programmed into us from just the culture that we live in and the current times that we're in. But what can happen when we are so thoroughly navigating those realms is we get into a pattern. We get into a pattern in which we are reaching outwards for an external tool or an external person of wisdom and guidance to be our truth. And we can get really, really lost in that pattern and lost in all of these teachings that we end up becoming very muddled in our energy field, and we actually don't know what our own energetic signature feels like. We actually don't know what our own soul is truly deeply desiring because we've picked up on all of these ideas and beliefs along the way that maybe is somebody else's truth, maybe that's somebody else's desires, and we thought that looked cool, we thought that that felt good. But we just keep taking in all of these teachings, all of this inspiration from others, and what we're actually doing is trying to fill a void that people that haven't awoken to their soul and awoken to the energetic world tend to fill that void with material items. So we end up kind of taking that with us into the spiritual world, and so we're reaching outside of us. But it's actually gets to a point where we just pick up all of this static and we're diluting our own soul's light. So Soul Series is going to bring you back home to yourself, to your own unique soul's essence, to your own unique soul's signature, so that you know who you are, you can feel yourself, and in that, whatever you create in the world, whatever it is that you're offering to the world, your gifts, your magic, your medicine, people will actually feel you in what you're creating and what you're offering, because you're not a muddled mix of all these other people's teachings and creations that you keep taking in. So Soul Series is going to bring you back into yourself so that you're reaching inward into your own connection to source, into your own connection to God, to spirit, to the universe, whatever you want to call it, as well as your own connection to your soul. So that your light that radiates out is your own, and it's not distorted by all the stuff that you're picking up on. So who this is not for is for people that are just opening up to their spiritual self, that are still very much in that place of taking in a lot of different spiritual concepts and understandings, and they're just beginning to really get into it. This is not for that person, because this is kind of what brings you out of that. So if you're just new to your spiritual journey, this is not in alignment for where you're at. And this is not for the person that wants like super detailed theoretical explanation and super fancy, zippy light show of different activations and stuff. This isn't for you if that's what you're looking for. This is actually going to be a very, very simple field, energetic field that you step into and surrender into while I guide you to dissolving out what is not in alignment with your soul and guide you into deepening that connection so that you're fully grounded and present and centered in Source, in God, in the divine. So what this soul series is for, who this is for the person that feels spiritually fatigued, who is sick of all of the spiritual tools, that just wants to simplify things, that is tired of waking up and having to do like an hour or 2 hours of spiritual practices just to feel good, to feel connected. This is for the person that wants to wake up already connected, already feeling amazing. This is for the person that is starting to feel like there's just a lot of noise and static in the spiritual community and a lot of it's no longer resonating, and they're wanting to really come to their own message, their own truth, their own simplicity, their own magic. This is for the person that perhaps you have a soul-based business, and when you're creating content for that business, you find that you struggle with having ideas of your own. And so when you end up creating content for your business, it's like you feel like some of your mentors are almost speaking through you, that your messaging is diluting, like you aren't really felt in your message, that it just kind of gets washed out. And within all of the noise of the spiritual community, it's not really felt. So what you're seeking is to really be a diamond light in the spiritual community of pure soul energy, pure soul light, so that you are really, really felt and your soulmate clients can find you. Because what happens when we really come into this place of just basking in our soul's energy, all of those ideas start to flow through us really, really quickly. Because when we're inspired, we're in spirit. And ultimately, this 6-week immersion is going to bring you deeper into spirit, into yourself. So what else do I want to say about this? I'm just going to take a quick look at my notes that came through yesterday. Yeah, here's another big one. Okay, so this is for people that have really heavily navigated the spiritual realm, who've gone through a spiritual awakening, who are deep on their healing path, often can feel almost alienated and separate from their friends and family. Good morning, Brianne. Happy Easter. So we kind of go through a period of time where it's like we're trying to protect our vibration from people that are operating at different vibrations, and we end up separating ourselves even more from those that aren't on a similar path. So what happens when you walk out a soul series is you're actually fully anchored into your 5th dimensional and higher self. You're embodying more of your higher self. So you no longer are feeling like you have this spiritual armor like protecting you, keeping you protected from a lower vibration or whatever. Like you're just fully embodied, fully integrated as your higher self. And when we make this shift, it is really hard to explain until you've gone through it yourself. And so this is what Soul Series is going to help you with. You basically shed that dualistic perspective and you just look at everything from unconditional love, because all of those like lower thought forms, all of those stories that used to really limit you no longer have power over you. So even when you have like a day where your human self is experiencing a bit of self-doubt or a bit of shame, you don't feel like you need to tango with it, because you can view it from a much higher perspective, from an observer perspective, that you're just aware that this is an old story that is hanging out in your field, that's clearing out, and you don't actually have to go into it because you're just fully embodied in your higher self. So you're just able to witness the human experience from a much more neutral place. So you don't actually end up diving deep into the bunny holes that shame or that self-doubt can take you in. So this also shifts you out of that nonstop spiral that we tend to get into in the spiritual community of healing cycles. Like we're constantly healing all of our stuff, which is great, but it also can be it can also be a form of running away from really just basking in our own true power and our own beautiful light, thinking that we're like this never-ending project that needs fixing. So there's a buggy flying around. So Soul Series is going to help you break that nonstop healing pattern cycle and just be fully embodied in yourself, fully anchored in that, fully basking in your light, Source's light, God's light, and allowing that to exude through you, allowing that to emanate through you. And so your light that you radiate out becomes that much more magnetic, and your reality begins to shift and upgrade that much quicker because you're no longer dipping in and out of these healing spirals of reaching outwards for your answers, because you're just fully, your channel is just fully, you are the channel, you are the frequency. So Soul Series is, I'm going to guide you through all this. And basically, when we kind of break down what's included, Soul Series is 3 bi-weekly coaching calls. They're group coaching calls, which are done via Zoom, and they will be recorded. And the coaching call is not going to be so much teaching. There's going to be a little bit of teaching, a little bit of talking that's going to take place, but the most of it, it's going to be really feeling the experience of it. I'm going to guide you into the experience. I'm going to activate and illuminate the path home to yourself. And the reason why there's not a whole lot of teaching is because I don't want to imprint your field. This is a very, very personal journey back home to yourself that I'm just guiding you there. I'm just guiding you. So our first 2 weeks, we're going to be focusing on unplugging. And what I'm meaning by that is we are unhooking the teachings and the imprints that you have picked up along the way from other people, from teachers, mentors, coaches, from social media, from just stuff that you're taking in. We're going to unplug from all of it and begin to comb through your energy field to unplug where there's like certain just hooks in there that aren't in alignment with your soul anymore. The second, or the third and the fourth week, so the second bi-weekly coaching call, we're going to be focusing on the dissolving. So this is where we're refining. We are allowing, once we've unhooked from all that stuff, we're allowing our energy to have like a divine comb move through it, and everything that is not in alignment or in resonance with your soul anymore is going to begin to dissolve out. So this is where, if you're going through the shift on your own without support, this is where some of the tools and modalities and teachings that you once really identified with in the spiritual community can start to feel like they're just like, not hanging with that anymore. And this is why Soul Series came to be, is it's to support you through that shift, because naturally the spiritual community is elevating into a different dimension, a different frequency. And so there's a lot of those teachings that are no longer in resonance with these higher dimensions that we're vibrating from. And if you don't have the support as you let that all dissolve out, as you allow your energy field to refine and clarify, it can be very confusing and highly emotional. It's very emotional. So Soul Series and I am going to support you in this. But then on the third call, after we've dissolved out, and this is where you're like completely surrendering to the divine, like you are allowing God to completely hold you in this. You're surrendering to the unconditional love that is available to you. And when you go through this, you release the fear, you release the resistance, and you release any sort of cracks in your consciousness that are deep, 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 deep in there in your unconscious that says you're separate from God, from the divine, from Source. And anybody that was raised in religion, who then stepped out of religion, you're probably carrying this crack in your consciousness, this illusion of separation from the divine spark within. So Soul Series is going to help to dissolve that. So you just fully unify with God, with Source, with the divine. And when we unify, even though we're always unified, there was something in our unconscious mind that there was a story that it was like, we're not fully safe to be held by the divine, or we're not worthy of God's love, or like We have this deeply embedded idea that God is like some fear-mongering, power-hungry, control, power-tripping dude in the sky, right? Like we've picked up some pretty wonky stories growing up, especially for those that were raised within a religious system, and even from our past lives. I mean, you know, when we think about the past lives we carry in our cellular DNA, from like the witch trials, from the priestess days when we watched the temples burn, where it just wasn't safe for us to be ourselves. You know, like we carry a lot of God trauma within us that even as highly spiritual beings, it's an invitation for us to go deeper into that and clear that, because once we've shifted out of that, then the light that's shining through us is so much more pure, so much more refined, more clarified, and we no longer need anything outside of us. We're just totally cool with where we're at, with what we have, and we finally feel safe. We finally feel safe in our human experience, in our body, and it's like, yeah, it's like we don't need any of the external reality to, we just don't need it. And we're just sitting in our light, and that's good enough. And then naturally, because there's no like scarcity or poverty that's operating, or like this fear that's operating, our external reality starts to actually upgrade really, really quickly when we get to a point where like we're totally good with just what's here. We're totally good with our own connection to God, to Source. And so any of the distortions where our light was kind of diluting itself, that just clears out. And so we end up becoming much more harmonious with our co-creative relationship with God. So from this place, so this is the third call, is really igniting and sparkling and shining out our diamond light. And so this is our soul's unique expression. This is our creative ideas. This is our medicine. This is our gifts, our magic. This is it's our essence. And so what we're radiating out then is purely our own. It's not this mixed mash of all this stuff we've picked up along the way, because we've completely come home to self, to our heart, to our soul, to spirit. And we're just so tapped in that place. And it's like what we've always been searching for. It's what we're always reaching out for, but we actually just had to go in. So Soul Series is going to hold you in that. I'm just going to take another look at my notes to see if there's anything else that I missed. Yeah. So yeah, it's this like unshakable sense of peace. Oops, there goes my water bottle. Love and confidence and power, and it's incredible. It really is incredible. And yeah, I'm just super excited about it. So we start next week. We start the week of April 14th. And what I always do, because it's a group thing, I always do a little bit of a vote to try to make the calls suit most of the time zones, so we can have as many people from the group on as possible. So I don't quite know the exact date that our first call is going to be, but it's going to take place next week or early the week after. And it is, the last day to actually register is April 13th. That's next Tuesday, or maybe next Monday, one or the other. It's on my website. So it's 333 euros for the 6-week group immersion. I do have payment plan options. There is a payment plan option on my website of 88 euros bi-weekly. But if that doesn't work out for you, that specific payment plan, just send me a message, and I'm more than willing to be flexible and work something out that will suit you. Even if we have to stretch it over 3 months, like I'm totally flexible that way, because this is just something that is so needed right now, as a lot of people are really, really lost in the spiritual community right now, and they don't know why, and they don't know why so many of the teachings aren't feeling good anymore. They don't know why some of their old mentors, that they're just not vibing anymore with their content anymore, you know, and it's just, we're being asked to simplify and come home to self, so that we just look in for our answers. So I think I'm going to wrap it at that. I have food cooking upstairs, so I need to go check on that. So I love you all so much. Thank you so much for hopping on. And if you have any questions, just drop them below. I'm also going to leave the link of the site below so you can check it out and feel if this is in alignment with you. The souls that can feel this and can feel me, and they'll just know. You'll just know if this is in alignment. You will know if this is the next shift that your soul is seeking. It's basically like taking you across those last few steps across that bridge from fourth dimension into the fifth dimension and higher, into those higher realms, going all the way up to like the 12th dimensional God frequency. So yeah, you will know. You will know. But send me a message if you don't want to drop the questions below, if you're wanting a little bit more information. And otherwise, I love you all. Have a beautiful Easter Monday, and we'll chat soon.